Hello, I'm Giles Darling, and I write novels, plays and non-fiction books. In this video, I continue to show an example of how to create dozens of story ideas from a what-if moment. This follows the process outlined in my How to Create Story Ideas videos, which I include a link to below. In my previous videos, I created some story idea outlines based on a group of open-ended questions. In this final video in this series, I show some further steps you can take to expand the number of story ideas. One way is to swap subplots between the initial story ideas. Some of the subplots from my previous video include jealousy and family tension, economic collapse and worker revolution, a love triangle, arrogance and cannibalism, exploitation and going on strike, and uncertainty about who's actually in charge. Let's look at swapping some of these subplots around. For example, for our historic story idea, maybe the landowner is actually deep in debt. He gifts his estate to his workers under the pretense of a form of UBI, so that the bailiffs harass the workers instead of the landowner. For our arrogant Victorian-era explorer, maybe he escapes being eaten by the tribespeople because the chieftain's daughter falls in love with the explorer. This forms a potentially explosive love triangle because she's already been promised to the son of a neighbouring tribe. For our alien visitor story, instead of heading back to their home planet to demand higher salaries and going on strike, maybe the aliens decide to invade Earth instead and take control of the planet and its workforce. Another way to create more story ideas is to switch or swap your characters, traits or details. For example, if your characters are strong, make them weak. If they are confident, make them nervous. In the earlier love triangle story idea, who has the power? Is it the two council employees or the ex-partner they come across? Does the ex-partner know some secret about one of the council employees and use this to extort money from them? Swapping who is weak or strong changes the dynamic of the story and creates more potential story ideas. Alternatively, you can swap old and young characters, rich and poor characters, or male and female characters. Returning again to our historic story idea, where a landowner gifts lump sums to his tenants, our central character could be a widow on the estate. The landowner gifts money to his male tenants only, as attitudes to women in the 1700s were different from today. So our central character gets nothing, even though she has children to feed. How does she react? Does she protest? Do the other tenants, particularly the wives, join her campaign, or do they turn against her? Can you think of other traits or details that could be swapped? Please feel free to add them to this video's comments. Changing the story's genre or point of view can also generate more story ideas. For example, we could change the earlier love triangle story into a murder mystery. Maybe, rather than let the ex-partner extort money from them, our council employee hero decides to murder the ex-partner instead. They then spend the rest of the story trying to cover it up. For our Victorian explorer story idea, we could tell it from the point of view of one of the tribespeople. Maybe a child in the tribe forms an early connection with the explorer somehow. Does this child help the explorer escape? If so, what are the consequences for the child? In our story idea about unequal parental love, it could be told from the viewpoint of the child who initially receives more attention. How does this previously pampered child react when the parents start treating the two children more equally? Does this child hatch a mischievous plan to get their own back? Can you think of other genres or points of view that could be applied to our story idea examples? Please feel free to add them to this video's comments. Finally, we can explore different time periods or settings for our story ideas to create even more story ideas. Currently, the alien visitation story is set in the present day, but it could easily be set in the 1700s, 1800s or the 1900s, as the aliens do not reveal themselves to the human population. How does changing the time period impact on the story? Similarly, what if the aliens visit a communist country or a country at war? Do they assume that all societies on Earth are like this? Is this why they don't reveal their identities? This will, again, change the story idea. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to use any of these story ideas for your own novels, plays, screenplays or TV scripts. Please also check out the rest of my YouTube channel, especially where I discuss the various books that I've written. I hope my channel encourages you to buy my books and to read them if you haven't already done so. Finally, please feel free to leave comments below and to like and subscribe this video and my YouTube channel. Farewell.